Hi, this is Rabbi Chaim Kaufman. Welcome to our 259th installment in the Torah portion of the week. We are holding by Parshas Bamidbar, since I didn't do a video last week, so get everyone up to date. Everyone outside of Israel is holding by Parshas Bamidbar. This week for us in Israel is Parshas Naso. Could be, I'll make another video on Parshas Naso. But Parshas Bamidbar, all about counting the Jewish people in the wilderness. You know, all about the tribes and how many there were and who was the head and all this. And the encampments, right? Find the encampments where everybody was, where the Jewish people, where the tribes where the tribes were, etc. You got the Levites, the census of the Levites, etc. So here it says Mori Rebbe, a Rav Agon or Moshe Mashlita should be well. Brings down in Tam V'das, and it's commentary in Chumash. And the Torah says, chapter 1, verse 2, or start with chapter 1, the book of Numbers. Shem spoke to Moshe in the wilderness of Sinai, 10th meeting on the second month, the second year of the exodus from the land of Egypt, saying, and verse 2, take a census of the entire assembly of the children of Israel according to their families, according to the father's household, by number of the names, every male according to their head count. Alright, it's talking about a census. Talking about the census in the desert. So it comes along Rashi, right? He brings down Rashi here, showing why he's talking about the counting. Right? A lot of times he talks about the counting of the Torah. Counting the Jewish people in the desert. So it shows God's love, the specialness of the Jewish people. You know, it counts them many times when they came out of Egypt. Even when they fell, they sinned by the sin of the golden calf. Question was, how many were left? Right? So the Torah counted them. When God wanted to bring his presence amongst the Jewish people, he counted them. Also, when he put up the Mishkan, the tabernacle, he counted them. Right? So you see, there are many times the Jewish people are counted. So Rebbe brings down from his Rebbe, Rav Moshe Schneider, blessed memory. He says the Gemara at the beginning of the second chapter of Bab Metzia, she talks about lost objects. That a person always puts his hands in his pockets, right, quite a bit, knowing how much money is in his pocket. Why? Because money is important to a person. And how much money they have in the pocket is important. So too, the Jewish people are special to God. So God counts them and counts them again and counts them again. And the language over here is not plural. Right? It's a singular language. That each Jew has his own pedigree. So therefore, each one is counted and important in of themselves. So he brings down the Sforno as well, one of the great commentaries, and says that God plants in a person his own greatness, or his own potential greatness. Right, so what do we see? The Rebbe here says, what do we see over here? How much each Jew is valued in God's eyes. Right? Each Jew. Right? And our obligation to use these special kochos, these special forces inside us, help us reach potential. So here's an interesting thing. The fact that God counts every individual Jew, that we all have significance. We may think we don't. We may think that, people put us down. And maybe we believe what they say. But you know what? Everyone's special. Everyone's given a special task in this world. That's what we're here for. So God plants in us gives us a soul. Non-Jews have a soul also. Not the same makeup as a Jew, okay? But we're all counted. We're all significant. But my Rebbe here says, yeah, we're all significant. And we have to use those character traits. Those good things that God gave us. We have to use it for good. So it's a huge responsibility. As I hear many times from potential converts, what an awesome responsibility to join the Jewish people. True. Awesome responsibility. Unbelievable responsibility. That for sure is true. How many Jews think it's such an awesome responsibility? Now, I'm not going to take a survey. But each Jew is significant. Our actions are significant. So even if we've been beaten down in life, even if we've been told, we won't amount to anything. Oh, we're wasting our time reading these old books and whatever. Know that we have each individual Jew has a special relationship. They have that special relationship with God. Just based on our pedigree. Now, you can tell me a person maybe misuse it, not use it, whatever. But each one is significant. Just like if you'd ask most people, how much money is in your pocket? They can probably tell you very close to the exact amount. Why? It's important. When God counts the Jewish people at different times, He shows the Jewish people are important. Each one of us is significant. Now, we have to uphold that. We have to prove to God that our pedigree is worth it. We have to show Him. But see, He's already chosen us, we've chosen Him. So God's stuck with us, so to speak. But each individual has potential, unbelievable potential. Medrash says, we have an obligation to say, when are my actions going to be like that of Avraham, Yitzhak, Yaakov? So you're going to ask, come on, Avraham, Yitzhak, Yaakov. We're not holding there. Every Jew's got the potential. Non-Jews have different potential. But every Jew has this unbelievable potential here. And that's why we keep the mitzvahs. We can raise ourselves, elevate ourselves spiritually, unbelievably. At the same time, we go against it. We debase the soul. Absolutely debase the soul at the same time. So it's never a person is standing still spiritually. It's all about movements. Either up or down. Question is, which way? Which way are we going? But a person should never think they're insignificant. Again, we may think we're an infinitesimally small speck of cosmic dust. Live in a small town, in a city, in a state, in a country, continent, planet, galaxy. Right? They might think, our actions don't matter. Think again. Our actions matter. Totally matter. But who we are, what we represent, huge. So we got to remember, everyone is significant. Regardless of what others may say. So the reality is we don't really care what others say. Totally doesn't matter. Right? We can't get caught up in what people think. At the same time, we have to have our own individual worth. This comes along the Baal Shem Tov. Rabbi here quotes the Baal Shem Tov, the holy Baal Shem Tov. And he explains in the verse that your offspring are like the stars in the heavens. Right? Unbelievable. Why are we like the stars in the heavens? Just like the stars in the heavens appear very small, They look like an egg, right? Very small in general. But the reality is, they're as great as the size of the earth, or greater. So too, the Jewish people. How the Jewish people appear in the world? Small, insignificant, in different ways. 1/1000th of the world's population. But the reality is, we have an elevated status. Why do we have an elevated status? Because we have a Torah that God gave us. We have mitzvahs that we keep. That's what elevates a Jew. It's not just the pedigree for the pedigree's sake. Because a Jew can be worse than a non-Jew. Totally be worse. There's no question. If we use our koichos, we use our good character traits, our strengths, it's unbelievable how elevated we can be. But in the bigger scheme of things, how we looked upon, small, impoverished, different ways. Not significant. So each individual's action, says the Baal Shem Tov, have the ability to build worlds. Or, God forbid, destroy worlds. That's the power. That's the power of what we can do. So even if a person's feeling bad, getting beaten down in life, they got to remember. Got to remember their forefathers, Avraham, Yitzhak, Yaakov. Got to remember our significance. Each one significant. We have the ability to build and destroy world. So someone's going to say something and say, oh look, you did this, you do that. A bunch of fanatics. What are you going to listen for? Our actions are changing the world. They're changing us. Hopefully. And we're going in the right direction. But it's the power of our actions. That's what it is. The absolute power here. Question is, what do we do with it? How do we use it? Pedigree, by pedigree alone, is worth something. Not going to say it's worth nothing. It's worth something. But if you don't utilize the power, what's it worth? You don't use it for the right reason. You think it's something to be ashamed of, in general. But not only do our actions matter, but God says each person matters. That is significant. Regardless of what other people think. And that might be family, that might be parents, might be siblings. We are significant. But it comes with a price. And that price is that we're responsible for what we do. Absolutely responsible. We have to make the best of it. Even if we fail. Even if we make mistakes. But a person should never ever think, and this is really the point. Person should never ever think what I do doesn't matter, in that I'm insignificant. No Jew is insignificant. Regardless of what others might say. We have the power to change ourselves. We have the power to sanctify God's name. We have the power to build worlds. Build worlds. And we can do, God forbid, just the opposite. So we got to take the gauntlet over here. We got to grab onto it. We got to relish in the opportunity that God gives. That He's telling us, yeah, I chose you for a reason. I want you to live up to that standard. I want you to reach that potential. I don't want you to be like everybody else. That's why you're a chosen nation. That's why I took you out of Egypt. I didn't take you out of Egypt to eat garbage. To fill your mouth with stuff that's not kosher. To act in not a kosher way. I took you out of Egypt to elevate you, God says. To make you into a nation. To serve me, the King of Kings. So yeah, it's an awesome responsibility. Unbelievable responsibility. We have to be up to the challenge. No matter what happens. My Rebbe would say, we're in God's army. Doesn't matter. It's hot, it's cold, we get a lot of sleep, we don't get a lot of sleep. God's like, shut up and eat the matzah. Get up and pray. I don't care you're tired. I don't care you don't like the matzah. You got to do what he says. You got to emulate who he is. You have to go in his ways. That's what we have to do. That's our purpose. So yeah, it's an awesome responsibility. Very true. But see, since we're part of God's chosen nation, we're a nation. We're not just a group of individuals. On the other hand, each individual is crucial, is important, is significant. And we got the power. Whether you want it, whether you don't want it, that's our obligation. We got to try. We have to make the effort. No matter how hard it is, no matter how down we seem to get, and go through all the difficulties of life, God says, I want you to serve me. God says, I want you to be the best you can be. And yeah, if you're close to the king, you could get burnt. But see, that means our life has meaning. Significant meaning. It means that the Rambam says the laws of repentance. The Rambam says that my action right now can change the tide of history. It can make the scale from good to bad, or God forbid, bad to good. I mean, the other way. Right? It can go from bad to good, which is good, or God forbid, from good to bad. But my action right now, whatever I'm going to do, significant, meaningful, paralyzing in a certain way. You're going to say, come on, it's an awesome responsibility. Yes, it is. But that's what makes life great, makes it meaningful. Gives me an opportunity to overcome bad character traits. Gives me an opportunity to serve God on a daily basis. I feel today, tomorrow's another day. I feel tomorrow, the next day's another day. But I have to strive, I have to work to put my best foot forward, as the Chovos HaLevavos says, in duties of the heart. That's what we have to do. That's our obligation. Right? So if a person understands how precious money is, and how much you know how much is in your pocket, etc. Because my Rebbe would say, money's on everything. It's good to have in your pocket sometimes. Why? So these things we know well, because that's important. And we count it because it's important. The same reason, many, many times, as we said, God counts the Jewish people. Because we're important and we're significant. I want to remind everyone, I give a class on duties of the heart every Tuesday, 9 o'clock Eastern Time. Sunday, a packed day, Book of Leviticus, chapter 16, 9 o'clock Eastern Time, 4 o'clock Israel Time. And then No Hide Nations, No Hide Laws, 2:30 Eastern Time, 9:30 Israel Time. 2 Q&As every Tuesday, Thursday, 10 o'clock Eastern Time, 5 o'clock Israel Time. Thursday night, 7 o'clock, or 8 o'clock really, 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Tanakh Talk, Controversial Issues. Pirkei Avos every Saturday, 2:30 Eastern Time, 9:30 Israel Time. Conversion classes, anyone interested in any of this, find me on Facebook at Michael Chaim Kaufman. We'll be on Orthodox Conversion Judaism. You can send me an email, rabbichaimkaufman@gmail.com, RBBICHAIMCOFFMAN @gmail.com.